Hi, everybody. Welcome to Busy Living Sober. Busy Living Sober. Busy Living Sober. We're on episode 229 with Laura and Tom Boldt. How are you guys today?
Doing well. Happy to be here with
Very,
you.
very happy to be here with you.
I'm
Thank you.
very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to throw this out there. So they wrote this book, and for those watching on YouTube, because a lot of people listen. So those of you watching on YouTube, it's Unraveled, a mother and son story of addiction and redemption. And I'm so excited to have you guys on because I read your book, and I love that. For one, your mom didn't take Al-Anon's people's advice, did she?
She heard it, maybe. Didn't put it into action.
No, but she did it anyway, and it actually worked out, and it for the best for both of you at this point. So who wants to start telling their story first?
That's up to you.
All right, Laura, we're going to start with you as being a mom, and moms with kids that are out there that are battling addiction, and they might be having a couple glasses of wine. They're totally stressed about their kid. Especially, well, now it's kind of weird because of the holidays and kids are and COVID, and kids are running away like they never have before. And it's crazy. So what was it like for you, Laura, as a mom, and what was your journey like?
Well, just a brief background. I grew up in an alcoholic family, and I was never going to be that person. Never. That was my inner mission. Not going to be an alcoholic. I'm going to be a great mother, great person. And I was everything but a great person, I think, when I was in my addiction. I am a little bit more than a garden variety alcoholic. And by that, I mean, I'm super crazy, did all kinds of dangerous things that may be construed as funny. But the most important aspect of that is a lot of what I did was equivalent in what I did, not only growing up, but as an adult. By the way, I got sober at 48, was very comparable to that of what my children at age 13, 12, and 11 would be doing. And I thought that was perfectly okay. So my journey in addiction was, it had its very dark moments. I never wanted to be that person. And when I realized I was that person, I had to go out and do a little bit more field work. And there are a lot more details than this, but when I came to my, what I really feel was an epiphany, it was due to a car accident where fortunately I didn't kill anybody. Nobody else was involved with me. And that was really quite bad enough. But I realized then and there that my higher power was speaking to me and I was hearing him. At what cost or loss of life you need to see before you're going to realize that you are in need of help. I was spiritually destitute, afraid, filled with shame. And, I'm making it oversimplifying this a lot, but I did get sober after the car accident. And at that point, I felt like it was my obligation to be the best version of me that I could be, the version that I was meant to be, and to be the best wife, person, mother, friend that I could be. And raising 4 boys is not an easy task by any stretch, but it's a huge blessing. And I noticed when Tommy was younger that we shared a lot of similarities in our personality. We certainly butted heads because we were so similar. And I did sort of pick up on the fact that about maybe 1 or 2 years into my sobriety that he was definitely using, and things were progressing in a downward spiral and pretty quickly. Mine was stretched out over a period of years, and I felt like I had sort of a more dormant period when I first got married and I was having children. I don't know how that's possible being an alcoholic, but it just didn't seem to be the most important thing in my life, which eventually it came to be after my 4th child was born. But mine was spread out, and I'm 12 years sober, a little over 12 years sober. I'm 60. and I was 48 when I got sober. But anyway, with being a mother, I empathize with where mothers are, especially during COVID. I'm not sure how I would have conducted myself. Well, I know how I would have conducted myself if I weren't sober. And I think with the increase of use of alcohol and drugs and the increase of lack of faith and stress and all those things that go along with being sequestered is a recipe for disaster. And certainly not everybody's an alcoholic, but they're, to me, that's a very challenging thing. So to go back to what was going on with Tommy, I realized what was happening with him, and I wanted to deny some of it. And
Wait, not to interrupt you, but I'm going to interrupt you for. What do you mean? Like, give us a little more detail. Did you find him with a vape pen, or was he smoking bongs? I mean, what made you think he's going down this rabbit? Like, you're that, like, because you're newly sober and you want to tell the whole world you're sober. Let's be honest, right? Like, everybody's got to get on this 12-step program because everybody's new who's like, oh my God, the 12 steps is for everybody, especially my kids.
Yes, that's right. And of course, I want to engage them all in adult children of alcoholics. Opportunities of which they were not interested in at all.
Did you find my cocaine or my pills, or what did you find?
I found like handles of liquor and marijuana. And eventually, as things really progressed, I found these little pills that turned out to be a version of morphine that I had to sort of describe in Google and came to understand what it was. And it was very compatible with his behavior in terms of his lack of energy and motivation, and some of the crazy behaviors that near-death experiences and all these things that can happen to people, anybody, when they're immersed in their addiction. So what did I do? Well, I talked to him about it. I talked to my husband about it. My husband was more patient with it.
The question: how old was Tom when this happened, or Tommy?
I think that when I started to really notice, high school, certainly his behaviors would indicate that behavior of an addict or an alcoholic. However, he wasn't using, to my knowledge, heavy drugs in high school. It really kind of came into that fruition when he was 19, 20, 21. I mean, he's shaking his head and laughing. He's like, boy, did I pull the wool over your eyes, Mom. But I knew that things weren't right.
It's all in the book.
But it's all in the book. And I was terrified. I couldn't sleep. And it's not about me. It's just that I knew from my program that I had to let him make mistakes. At the same time, I wanted to fix everything. Mm-hmm. And make it all go away. And this is not happening. And I don't want him to have this kind of challenge in his life. And there's a lot more to it than what I'm describing. I mean, we could talk about when he was younger, the trauma he experienced of being bullied. Did the bullying lead to his addiction? No. But was it a form of trauma? Of course it was, because it was very serious. We're not using the word lightly. And I just think that when you have 4 boys, one can think, okay, they're all circles that are going to fit into a circular space. They're apples and they're oranges. Honor the apples, honor the oranges. I don't think I honored him as the circle or the square or whatever I may have, whatever sort of analogy you want to consider it, until I sort of grew up myself into my own program and realized this kid is a very spirited, wonderful, warm, kind guy that's struggling. And I did give him his first Valium. He was very anxious at about, I think it was like 13. And he was very anxious about going back to school after vacation because of this extreme bullying. And it affected him in every way, emotionally, physically. It was paralyzing. And the night that I gave it to him, I said to him, in order to try to relax, maybe hop in the bathtub, but he was hyperventilating. He couldn't breathe. So back in the day, I had Valium, Xanax, I had it all. And I gave him a Valium. And all of a sudden, I'm like, as I said in my book, wow, I think I might have given him that Valium for me. Because then he just relaxed. And that begins Tommy's story of his connection to, taking a pill, which he can share with you. And things just sort of seemed a lot easier.
Well, isn't it interesting? Because too, when you grow up or when you're raising kids in it, I don't think it matters if you're in, I'm going to just say Ladue, because I know that's, or like in Wayne, Pennsylvania, or you're out in a suburb of Los Angeles, a suburb of San Francisco, and you're in this group with all these moms, and you've got these 4 rowdy boys, and you want everybody to look perfect. Let's just be honest. That's just
Right.
Right. And then you've got one, like, because I have one that's like ADHD, and you're like, oh my God, what's wrong with this person? And then they pick up this, and then you're like, just calm down. And you're like, okay, that was nice. I got him calm for a minute. And
Yes.
yeah. Right.
But that was not
crazy.
It was nice for me too. I'll tell you that.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Tell us. Cause I can imagine your mom giving you like this thing. And you're like, okay, whatever that was good. Give me some more.
It worked. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it
yeah.
all went away. It all went away. I mean, everything, all the fears, all the, all the fears at that point, at that moment, it was fear and, like anxiety, and it just all went away. And I was able to just like relax,
Like for some people explain like their first sip of alcohol, right? But this is in pill form, right? So your first sip of alcohol, it's that finally that sense of like, okay, the brain's stopping. I can just chill.
Exactly. And it worked very well.
Right away, right?
Yeah. It did what it was supposed to do,
So I totally get it. Mine was booze, and they didn't give me that, but mine was booze. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the answer to all of my prayers, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to be this girl that is, is running around being crazy, and everybody wants to shut me up because I'm hyper and I'm running around and I'm causing drama everywhere. And I get that first sip, and I was 13 as well, but getting that for the first time and then feeling that, what happened going forward?
Going forward, there were some big changes that happened in the years to come. I mean, there was a school switch that happened because I finally was fed up, and I was like, I'm just not going back. And so I switched schools. I found a group of people to hang out with. They were like me. And then, started smoking the hookah at first, and like, I don't even know when that was, like 8th grade, something like that. And then getting into high school, we just started doing pretty much everything. I mean, it started with weed, then, alcohol. That summer between 8th grade and 9th grade, so the jump between middle school to high school, that's a summer that kickstarted it. And then when I had the opportunity to take a pill, I just jumped at it because I already knew, I would look them up on my phone. Sometimes I go to parties and go through medicine cabinets and look it up. You're like, oh, what does this do? What does this do? What does this do? Oh, I'll take a couple of these. And it worked. It worked for a while, but then it got to the point where it was like, it worked, but also if I didn't have it, it was bad. Even if everything like was going well. Yeah. It's like, all right, now I need this all the time. And when I got to that point, it just started getting pretty bad. I mean, it was like accidents, car wrecks, motorcycle wrecks, fights, surgeries, hospital visits, and it went so fast. I mean, people talk about like how it accelerates and goes fast, but for me, it was like 4 years. Yeah. And it was like those 4 years went by so fast. The last year, before I got sober, I don't even remember much. Yeah. 2012.
Well, congratulations, both of you, on your time. And the way that you just described that, do you remember? So, like, did you ever talk about alcoholism in your house, knowing that? Did you know about it or anything? Did you know what it really was? Like, was there?
Oh, yeah.
Like your grandparents? I'm just gonna say the grandparents had it, right? So the
Well, my mother, 100%. She was in the program. She was 16 years sober when she died. So she was a great example.
I
But
went to DARE.
Oh, you did?
I had DARE education.
Okay.
And so, but my view of you can call them two separate things, but I think the ism is the same.
Yeah.
An alcoholic or an addict, right? So I viewed that as one thing for like one, you have to be this way to be an alcoholic. You have to be this way to be an addict. Alcoholic, brown paper bag, living under a freeway. That's an alcoholic. Addict, you're in some sort of drug house, can't stop shooting up, have a bunch of diseases. That was my view. And it's like, that's not realistic. That's not the case for everyone. There's so many different types of variations. So when I was going through it, I thought something was like seriously wrong with me because I wasn't drinking out of a brown paper bag and I wasn't living under a freeway. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not those things. Like there's something really wrong with my brain,
Oh my God. I totally know. I mean, I had family members that said that to me. They're like, well, you aren't drinking, you're not drinking out of a brown paper bag and hiding underneath the freeway or jumping on trains like they did in the movies. Like, I don't even know if that's legal anymore anyway, but that whole sense of the stereotype of what an addict looked like, that's like what the media portrays and what television and movies, you're like, well, I'm not like, Charlie Sheen or something like out there causing all this mayhem, or I'm not like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not doing all this crazy stuff, but I'm doing stuff and I think that self-talk that we have to ourselves, like there's something really wrong with me. I think that's what really brings us to our knees. It's like, there's something totally messed up with me.
Yeah, I had a phone conversation a couple of weeks ago with a guy I usually see on a weekly basis. I didn't see him for a couple of weeks. And I said, hey man, is everything okay? He called me. He had been getting high and we talked for a little bit and he said, Tom, I just don't know what's wrong with me, man. There's something wrong with me. And I was like, dude, there's nothing wrong with you, man. You are who you are, man. And if I'm not saying you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, and he's like, oh, I definitely am. I was like, okay, well, I can relate to literally everything that you're saying and doing right now. So, and so it's just that thought process of that there's something wrong with me is miserable. It's miserable.
It's a miserable, and you want a quick fix, right? Because you're like, you grow up and you're like, oh, I have a headache. I'm going to take a Tylenol. Okay. This is they give me an Advil and I'm all better. But this whole mental thing, that's the crazy part, right? Because you're like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. I'm thinking about these crazy thoughts. And why is it I can't stop thinking about wanting to get this pill wherever it is? Or for me, it was the booze. And I bet for your mom, it was like, for me, it was like, all right, I'm going to a party. I have to have 2 bottles of wine, one while I'm getting ready and one when I come home at the end of the night. There was no way I could do it without it. Like, that's like, right? You couldn't do it.
Nothing is instantaneous and mental when you're talking about alcoholism or mental health especially. I mean, you can look at how everything works in, if you look at the medical field and you say, all right, he's got a broken arm, he's in a lot of pain, what do you do? Okay, boom, give him an IV drip, we'll fix it, put him out, surgery, done. And then you look at like mental health, take depression, for example. You can't just give them a pill and fix their depression. I mean, you can give them a pill, but it's going to take 2 months to start working. And then maybe get them exercising again or eating healthier. Stuff takes time. It takes time. So it's different.
It is. It's a huge commitment. And one of the things I want to explain to the listeners is that addiction doesn't have any boundaries. There are no borders. There's nothing. I mean, it doesn't matter socioeconomically, culturally. It affects everybody. And yes, is it easier to have a house and a roof over your head and food on the table? Of course it is. But there are no boundaries of this demonic disease. And we don't want to be like that. And the only way for me that I could think about, I don't want to be like that. So I think I'll drink about it and then I won't worry about it. And then I'll Google some rehab centers on Sunday morning for a year. And then I'll close the laptop and say, okay, well, just more hair of the dog will cure that one. we'll go do a little more field work. So it's not like we want to be that way. The bottom line is with addiction is that there's no cure, but there is a solution, and the solutions are out there, and we are out there, and we are out there with open arms, hoping that people will come to us and ask us for help. If when people are doubting whether or not they're an alcoholic, or they're concerned about people in their family, I think the best thing that anyone can do is, if they have a spiritual connection, maybe pray about it, but to go and ask somebody for help, to talk to a clergy, a therapist. I in my program, I'm not supposed to promote AA, but there are meetings that just, for the cost of a cup of coffee, $1 or $2, just
or not
or no money.
Doesn't matter.
It's being able to be vulnerable enough to think outside of your world and say, you know what, I could ask for help, and it's okay to ask for help. I mean, I think about Tommy's sobriety, and I think, God, he got sober so young. He's got his whole life ahead of him. And, and I have the rest of my life ahead of me. It's never too late. But I think about the opportunity that people have when they're younger to really get to know themselves, and to really develop into living a life filled with understanding, being a lifelong learner, solutions, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, shit, life happens. All right. Things happen in people's life. It's just the way it is. Things out of our control, things we have to accept that we may not like. We have to function as human beings, and part of being human is the mistakes we make, or, their death in families, or all kinds of things that happen. But for me, being sober, when Tommy was in the depth of his addiction, I had to, number one, protect my sobriety and take care of myself so that I could better serve my families, particularly Tommy. And, that is a huge gift. That is a tremendous, tremendous gift, to be able to commit to the lifestyle that sobriety offers. And it's amazing. Is life easy? No, it's not. But drinking never made, or drugging never made anything better. Never. And, the more time we're in sobriety, the more we can actually start using our frontal cortex and think with a little reasoning instead of being our primal brain, which is,
So you mentioned the AA, and I love that you mentioned with your mother, with yourself. Tom, do you also do are you 12-stepper as well?
I'm a 12-stepper.
Okay. So I want to ask, because this is a big, coming to this realization, and you were 21 when you got sober?
21. Yep.
21. Yeah. So it's interesting because I have somebody that I helped that got sober she was in rehab for her 21st birthday, and now she's been sober for 22 years.
Holy
awesome.
And, in the beginning, you talked about going into the rooms. And so I want to talk about first from the very beginning, when you walked into that room, especially you, Laura, your mom had been there. So was it still as scary as it is for us people who had never had anybody go there before? And I was like, oh my God, how was that? Because a lot of people are very scared of going into a 12-step room. There's such a stigma, right? That's associated with addiction still, as much as we're trying to change that with Busy Living Sober and Sober Not Ashamed and, Unraveled. We're trying to get out there and promote that we have nothing to be ashamed of. But when you first walked in, because there's so many people that reach out to me and they're like, I just don't think I'm that. I just don't want to, I don't want to go there. Or if I have to go, I might have to drive like 3 counties over. I can't even go in my neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I wasn't scared, but not because of an ego thing. Like, I'm not scared.
Right. When I walked into the room, first and foremost, after my accident, I realized I was in big trouble. All right. And I thought, if I don't listen now, and I'm not kidding, I really was down on my knees thinking, who is my higher power, you choose whoever you wish. He's speaking to me and I hear him. And what's it going to take for me to get sober? I can't look at myself in the mirror. I feel so much shame. I'm not the person I want to be. There's just a multitude of things that I felt. But because I connected with a friend of mine in the program that day, she took me to my first meeting. And as I mentioned to my husband, I am definitely going to AA, but that's not going to become my life. And I walked into the room and I thought, oh shit, these people are really messed up. They are so messed up. But yet I was that person who's like, hey, I'm an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic. I mean, I want to shout it from the mountaintop because I thought, I'm excited. It's weird. I'm not afraid to be sober because I was so damn scared to be an active alcoholic. I got to the point where I couldn't take myself anymore. I couldn't take my own bullshit anymore. I couldn't take it. And so, you know, that gradually over time, I chipped away at the ego. And I thought, I'm no different than anybody else in here. And I was really guarded about making friendships. I didn't hide it that I was in my certain program of recovery, which is AA. I didn't hide it, but I didn't trust people. So it took me a really long time but I kept going back. Even when I didn't want to go back, I kept going back because I was told that that's what works.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I don't want to segue too much, but I want to say that for those of you out there that are active alcoholics or addicts or recovering or whatever, you know, we have our kids. There's a certain genetic predisposition, environmental. There are numerous reasons why people become addicts. It is not a parenting malfunction. We can't make our kids alcoholics. We don't have that kind of power, and nor do we have the power for them to get sober. What we do have the power to do is to take care of ourselves in hopes that we can provide that healthier environment for whoever we're around to be attracted to that kind of thing. And also the amount of compassion that I've learned to have for people like me and like Tommy has grown. You know, when I was growing up with my mother, I wanted to be mad at her all the time. You know, I was furious, sick of it. I was so tired of it. And when Tommy was using, I was tired of it. I was scared. I was tired of it. I was exhausted. I couldn't sleep. Selfishly, I couldn't, you know, I wanted to sleep, and that meant fixing Tommy. Deep down, my heart broke. I wanted him to.
I was tired of your drinking too, Laura.
Okay. Of course you were. I mean, of course you were. But I love him so much, and my heart broke, and I could totally relate to his brokenness because we're all broken.
Right.
We're all broken. And that's
but this is your baby.
It's my baby. It's my first baby.
Yeah.
And gosh, it was an amazing experience. Amazing experience. I'm so damn proud of him. He is, this journey together has been unlike anything else. Being able to write the book together, to heal together, to be honest together. We learned stuff about each other that maybe we didn't even know, you know, in the beginning of Tommy's for the first 4 years of the sobriety. We've grown up together too.
That's the truth.
I mean, here we are, mother, son, but we grew up together.
It's just, I mean, it kind of brings tears to my eyes because it is so beautiful. Like this doesn't normally happen, you know. This is not what the normal, you know, right? I mean, the odds out there of this happening is not very good, right? Most people who go in relapse a bunch of times. And fortunately, people die. You know, moms never get it because there's a lot of parents out there that are like, my kid has to get sober. I don't want to get sober. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And I think it's interesting. And I've always thought this because for me, drinking was the big thing because all my parents did was drink. But when you introduce these pills into the environment, right? And if mom's doing a pill, why can't I do a pill? Right? There's that whole like a caveat that takes you into this ability to take this and say, you know what? I can do it. Mom does it. It doesn't kill her. So how's it going to kill me?
Mm-hmm. That's part of the demise of the disease. It's the message we send. It's You know, you can tell your children anything you want to tell them. It's all about how you live your life. Being authentic is in how you behave, not in what you say. And for me, I'm a slow learner. It took me a lot longer to learn what authentic even means, to be that real person. And, you know, without being sober, I'm not that person. I'm another person that is not in touch with anything real. And it's really a scary place to be, because I knew deep down that I was that person, that alcoholic, that I never wanted to be. I thought, oh, I can break the chain before I even become one. Well, like, I really had a choice in the matter. I am one, and I'm okay with that. And then I think about all the benefits of the program and what this has allowed me to work on, and what it has shown me that if I just listen and I continue to be a lifelong learner, if I continue to be a person of service, to me, there's nothing better than working with other alcoholics. That keeps me, selfishly, that keeps me sober. I love that part of it. Do I have time to take a call? I'm going to make time to take that call, because my life depends on it.
For sure. And Tom, where you are today, so you went into 12 steps and you said, I wasn't scared to go.
No. I was, because I was basically like dead inside. So
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid to do anything. You know, it was like, whatever. Like, I didn't care if I died, or, you know, whatever happened. And I was like, oh, well, I woke up that morning and was just like, yeah, it's over for me. Like, I don't know. I guess I'll try that rehab thing that people talk about. Give it a shot. And went, and I had no idea what I was getting into. No idea. I mean, I went in my first meeting, I was like, what is this? How am I supposed to do? What do we do here? Hi, I'm Tom. You know, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know that I couldn't drink again.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was like, oh yeah, we'll get it under control. Leave here. We can have a beer with dinner maybe. But then when I look back, it's like, no. They're like, no, dude, you can't do that ever again. You want to live a good life.
But to be willing, you just described being willing, right? You were willing to go. You were willing to take the advice. You were willing, which is the big thing, right? Because so many people are not, like, to get that willingness to go to some place that's like, they're going to lock me up for 28 days. I don't know if you went to aftercare. So I don't know if it made a 90-day stint.
Oh, I was in for 120 days total.
Love that.
Yeah. So, but I was willing. Like, if somebody told me I had to go, you know, to the zoo and jump the fence and go high five a giraffe, I would have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. No, I know exactly. I felt the same way. So he's like, you're gonna do 90 meetings in 90 days and call me every day. My first response was, I'm busy. And she was like, well, were you too busy to drink? And I'm like, no, okay, I'll call you,
Right.
you know? And I want to talk about the inside job. You know, this is such an inside job, isn't it? It's such an inside job. So Tommy, what do you feel like when I say it's an inside job? What does that make you think of?
Spirituality and who I am as a person, how I treat other people, how I view life, what my aspirations are. My goals have changed from what they were to now. So internal work, I mean, that's really what it is anyway. I mean, when the drugs and the alcohol are just a helpful tool that we used. That wasn't the problem. It made things a little bit worse, a lot worse sometimes. But the problem is in here. So everything's connected. So you talk about the spirit, mind, body, all of it. For me, I had to work on all of it. I like working on all of it. Actually, right now we're in a place where we're we're working on ourselves. All of us are.
Mhm.
So there's 9 of us here right now, and we're doing that. So it's cool. I like doing it now, you know.
Well, it's not as scary, right? Because it's not as scary and going, because I think that self-talk that we're not good enough, I'm a loser, I'm this, I'm that, that it's just that negativity that goes on in our heads, right? When we're drinking and doing drugs, it's just so awful. And when we come in to put down that baseball bat that we carry around and hit ourselves with all day long, right? I'm a loser. I'm a loser. This person's doing this because I'm a loser. This person doesn't really like me. That's why they're not texting me right back. I mean, like the stories we like envelop in our heads are just insane, right?
Yeah. A lot of it's comparisons too.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, I'm a loser because I'm not, Elon Musk. You know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, okay, Tom, let's maybe take a step back. Like, and there's not a lot of guys like that. Like, you gotta, do what's best for you. You compare yourself to other people, you're gonna fall short every single time. Most of the time.
It's all that grandiose thinking. It's just, and the inside job is important. The sobriety allows you to do the work. I mean, as I said, we're all broken, and we all have different life experiences that brought us to wherever it is we are. But what we get to do is we get to just work on things, literally, as cliche as it is, one day at a time. And when we can see that we can evolve and find solutions for problems that we never knew we could possibly deal with, then we know the next time that something erupts, that we can take a deep breath. One of the things my father-in-law said was, don't just do something, stand there. And my father-in-law, my husband's dad, co-founded Edgewood, which was a treatment program in St. Louis. And he was a physician. He was not in the program, was not an alcoholic, but he was a compassionate guy. And, when you learn to halt whatever, you take time to think about something before you react to it. There's nothing that we can't handle. And this is a we program. I mean, we don't have to do these things by ourselves. Some things take a village. And that's what we get to have when we're sober. We get to have that village. I've never seen a group of people that are more genuinely interested in each other's success with the program. I'm not talking about career success. I'm talking about, real success in the program.
Yeah.
Staying sober, and people, you want that for the people that you're with, that share the common problem. And, I find on a daily basis, I'm only as joyful or as productive as my spiritual connection is active and healthy. And we don't do anything all the time. We're not perfect. We're not. I mean, nobody's perfect. And so we can say, yeah, I get up every day, I make my bed, I do my daily meditations, I go to a Zoom meeting, I connect with other alcoholics. Yes. And we know that we feel better when we do that.
I tie my own shoes.
We tie our own shoes. But we know we feel better when we do these things. So why don't we do them all the time? Why don't we meditate all the time? Why don't we eat well all the time? Well, it's just not the way my mind works. But I know that there's a solution, and I know what makes me a better person. I know what it is that I need to work on. And you always, well, not always, but inevitably feel better when you stay close to your sober people in your program.
Well, you guys are awesome. I can feel you've healed the whole family. I'm sure I'm not everybody's like perfect, as we mentioned, but to make it a family thing, I'm envious. I am so envious because I think it's just, oh my gosh, you guys are so lucky. Tom, you are so lucky, and you're giving back.
We brought all the girlfriends too. So they're all doing the same thing.
That's pretty big.
Oh yeah.
It's really cool. I don't think any of the other 3 boys show signs of addiction. I'm not going to analyze them, but they're all supportive. They all respect the seriousness of the disease. And we are very, very lucky. And we were really messed up there for a while. And yes, course, I'm the mom. I want it all to look perfect. My kids are going to be perfect. They're all going to fit in this perfect little box and everything's going to be great. In the meantime, I'm running myself ragged trying to make it all look perfect. And it's so not perfect.
It's not how life works.
It's just not.
No. During that, I was, get me another dirty martini, thank you. Get me another dirty martini, thank you. Because if I have to fit in this box and I'm going like this and everybody's hanging over, it's awful.
Yes.
Like just to give up and be willing, because that's like what it all is, right, Tom? It's all about willing. It's all about willing, right, Laura?
It's all about completely surrendering and the willingness that goes along with it. I am an alcoholic. I will always be an alcoholic. It's not a dirty word. But what this allows me to do is to work on being a better person as long as I stay true to my sobriety.
You guys are awesome. I want to be in your family. Can I come with you on your retreats to get
better? We shall have a family meeting about it and perhaps adopt you.
I'd love to adopt you. You're adorable. I mean it. I mean, the connection is immediate.
Oh, you guys are awesome. Well, I'm gonna have the cover of your book on my website, and I'm gonna have a link. I think I have a link for your book too. I think a way of getting it. I'll put Amazon or something. I'll find it. Okay. I'll find it because you can get it on Amazon, correct?
Correct. Yes, and the website is unraveledthebook.com. So you can, the listeners out there, if they're interested, and I hope they are, because I hope we've touched somebody and helped somebody in some way, can access a lot of information about us. And some of your podcast will be on our website. So
so everybody can watch this on YouTube. You can see it on iTunes, Spotify. You want me to go down the list of social media? Probably not. You guys want to get back to being with all those fun people you're with right now. You guys, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure to get to know you. I wish you guys so much goodwill and have the best holidays. Merry Christmas. And if anybody's out there, look at this. They did it. They healed their family. Mommy got sober and then her son did. It's a start.
It's a start. We're work in progress.
We're work in progress. Are, right?
And thank you. This has been really wonderful. And I can't tell you how much I love meeting you. It's just, you're so dynamic, the best energy.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, Merry Christmas. And everybody who's out there, remember to like it, follow us, and do all those fun things. And until next time, keep getting busy, living sober. Bye-bye, everybody.